For thousands of years, the Euphrates River has been a vital source of life and sustenance for the people of the Middle East. However, in recent times, the river has been slowly dwindling, causing concern and anxiety for those who rely on it. But in a shocking turn of events, the Euphrates River has finally dried up, revealing something that has been hidden for centuries. Interested to know more? Let's get straight into the video. Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia are among the modern-day nations that are located within the watershed of the Euphrates River. The snowmelt that happens in the eastern highlands of Turkey during the late spring and early summer is responsible for around 90% of the runoff that comes from the basin. These highlands are located in Turkey's southeast. At this point, flood levels are often at their highest along the length of the river. For at least 6,000 years, the people who once lived in the floodplain plains of Iraq made use of the water that was provided by the river Euphrates. Empires that were dependent on irrigated agriculture developed as a result of this practice, but they eventually fell into disrepair, leaving behind beautiful ruins almost throughout Mesopotamia. Iraq was the only country inside the Euphrates basin that made significant demands on the river's water supplies before the start of the Second World War. Since then, Iraq's consumption has been steadily growing, which led to annual water withdrawals averaging more than 16,000 million cubic meters during the 1960s. This number corresponds to approximately 45% of the typical yearly discharge that the Euphrates River experiences into Iraq. Both Syria and Turkey have been planning significant dam proposals to harness the waters of the Euphrates River since the middle of the 1960s. Both the Tapka Dam in Syria and the Kaban Dam in Turkey have already been built, and Turkey has plans to construct more substantial hydraulic works along the stretch of the river that it controls. It would appear that the water demand will likely exceed the amount of water that can be supplied by the river by the time the irrigation projects connected to these schemes are functioning at full capacity toward the end of this century. Because it is situated in the lowest portion of the basin, Iraq is the nation that is most likely to suffer the most as a direct consequence of this. Already, tensions regarding the distribution of the water resources provided by the river Euphrates have placed a serious strain on the diplomatic ties that exist between Syria and Iraq. Disagreements of this kind will likely continue to arise in the years to come, and it is also feasible that these disagreements will grow more contentious as both Turkey and Syria begin to utilize significant amounts of the available river flow for agricultural purposes. It would appear that the establishment of an international agency to supervise the equitable distribution of the water resources of the Euphrates River between Turkey, Syria, and Iraq is the only long-term option that is capable of solving the issue completely. At this point, it does not appear likely that the three countries will be able to come to an agreement that will last. Talking about the ecological composition of the river Euphrates, along its entire course, the Euphrates River passes through a wide range of ecological zones, each of which is characterized by a distinctive type of plant. The patterns of precipitation, which become visibly less abundant from the river's headwaters to its terminus, have a significant impact on the sorts of flora that may be found along the river basin. The river's headwaters are characterized by an abundance of precipitation, while the river's terminus is characterized by a dearth of precipitation. Upper river channels that are more mountainous and steep often have areas that are home to xeric forest types. The presence of a variety of plant species, such as oak trees, pistachio trees, and members of the Rosaceae family, is one of the characteristics that distinguish these forests. In the southern part of this zone, you'll find a location that features a floral composition that's a hybrid of forest and steppe vegetation. As it makes its journey through its lower lengths, the Euphrates River travels across dry environments. There are around 34 unique species of the family Cyprinidae that can be found in the Tigris-Euphrates River basin. The Euphrates soft-shelled turtle is a species of soft-shelled turtle that is endemic to the Tigris-Euphrates River basin and is considered to be in a state of critical endangerment. However, because of human exploitation, a large number of the native species that used to reside in the Euphrates River basin have become extinct or are in danger of becoming extinct in the river basin. These species include the gazelle, Arabian ostrich, and onager, amongst others. Both the Tigris River and the Euphrates River have, ever since ancient times, served as significant waterways in their respective regions. Perith is an ancient name for the river that we now call the Euphrates. In ancient times, it was called Perith. According to the biblical account, this river was one of 4 that flowed out of the Garden of Eden after Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Paradise Garden. The account may be found in the book of Genesis. There are multiple references to the river Euphrates throughout the Hadiths that are attributed to Prophet Muhammad. Ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Babylonia, Assyria, and Sumer all had their beginnings in the valley of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Mesopotamia is now known as Iraq. This part of the world is commonly referred to as the cradle of civilization. The majority of the oldest human settlements were centered in the higher regions of the basin of the Euphrates River, which was a region that was generally referred to as the Fertile Crescent at that period. Nippur, Uruk, Ur, Adab, Kish, Mari, Eridu, and Sippar are only a few of the ancient cities that were situated along the river's path. Other locations along the river include Ur, Sippar, and Mari. The events of the Battle of Karbala, which occurred in the year 680 AD, took place on the banks of the Euphrates River. For several years, the jurisdiction of the Roman Empire in the east and the western portions of the Persian Empire on the other side of the Euphrates River functioned as a demarcation line between the two regions. Since Syria, Iraq, and Turkey have all claimed jurisdiction over the waters of the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers for the purposes of irrigation and the generation of hydropower, the amount of political friction that exists between these 3 nations has significantly increased. The secret that has never been revealed about Euphrates. The water levels in the lake that was created by the Euphrates Dam in eastern Syria have just dropped, which enables archaeologists to investigate a massive ancient burial site that was previously submerged in the lake. On the eastern bank of the lake created by the Euphrates Dam, which is also referred to as Tapka Dam, the site, which dates back to the Byzantine civilization and is located in the Raqqa province, sprawls across enormous territories. It begins in the vicinity of Wadi Sal al-Khashab and Shams al-Din in the northwestern countryside of Raqqa and stretches all the way to the administrative border that separates Raqqa and Aleppo. The regions of Shams al-Din is located in the middle of these 2 regions. During the height of the Byzantine civilization, the city of Raqqa served as the site of its foundation. The decline in water levels of the Euphrates and the Tigris that has taken place over the course of the past 3 years has made it possible for a significant number of archaeological sites that were previously covered by the waters of these 2 rivers, which flow through Syria, Iraq, and Turkey, to become exposed. These sites are located in all 3 of these countries. The waters of these 2 rivers once covered up these ancient sites before they were uncovered. These rivers can be found flowing across Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. Over the course of the last few years, the water level in the Euphrates River has dropped to levels that are currently regarded to be extremely hazardous levels. The quantity of water that is moved from Turkey into Syrian territory is less than 200 cubic meters per second, which is less than half of the quantity that Turkey and Syria agreed upon in 1987. The agreement was made between the 2 countries in 1987. According to Abdul Razak al-Aliawi, an engineer and a former director of Syria's maintenance department for the Euphrates River, the riverbed has experienced 6 different historical eras. These eras include the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Greek, and Byzantine eras, in addition to the Islamic era. In addition, the riverbed has also been observed the Islamic era. Al-Aliawi was the one who offered this information to Al-Monitor. Al-Aliawi is a river that is located in Syria. He was the director of the maintenance department for the Euphrates River at one point in his life. He was of the opinion that the entire act of building dams was an unjust decision from the very beginning. The Syrian government, led by Yusuf Zayn, constructed the Euphrates Dam in 1968 without first rerouting the Euphrates River away from the desert and creating lakes there. This was done under the guidance of Yusuf Zayn. Yusuf Zayn acted as the overseer for the entirety of this process. Instead, Aliawi reported that the lake that was constructed as a consequence of the dam had a length of 100 kilometers and a width of 8, and it submerged the most famous ancient ruins that were located along the river. The lake had dimensions of 100 kilometers in length and 8 kilometers in width. The construction of the dam was responsible for the formation of the lake. During the catastrophic event, only a select few things and monuments were preserved in their original state. He continued by saying that many cemeteries are located in this area, which is also thought to include hundreds of Syriac Christian monasteries. This information comes as the water level continues to fall. Despite the fact that the water level is continually increasing, this information has been obtained. On days when the sun is out and the water in the lake is rather clear, it is possible to make out the gravestones in the cemeteries that are still submerged in the lake. These days are rare, however. On the right bank of the lake in the western part of Raqqa, a few burials have been discovered. However, he noted that the left bank is rockier, making it impossible to carry out excavating efforts. As the waters of the Euphrates River began to recede in the month of July, the remnants of the ancient city of Talbez were made visible in the city of Anna in the Iraqi province of Anbar. The town of Anna can be found along the river's edge. As a result of the lowering of the water level in the Haditha Dam, an Iraqi archaeologist by the name of Mohammed Jassim revealed the discovery of at least 80 historically significant monuments that had been submerged for a considerable amount of time. The Department of Antiquities in Dohuk, which is situated in the Kurdish region of Iraq, made the announcement on June 6 that they had uncovered a city that was a component of the Mitanni Empire and had been submerged for 3,400 years. The announcement was made in Dohuk, which is located in the Kurdish region of Iraq. One of the cities that together comprise the Mitanni Empire is called Dohuk. It wasn't until the waters in the basin of the Tigris River started to go down that this city could finally be seen. Bex Privkani, a director of the Dohuk Department of Antiquities, said on June 6 to reporters that the city, which had been referred to as Zakiko in the past, was mentioned in Babylonian documents. Bex Privkani was acting on behalf of the Dohuk Department of Antiquities while she was chatting with the media. He claims that within the property there is a palace in addition to a number of other buildings and a huge wall that encircles the entire area. In addition, cuneiform texts were discovered at the location where they were found. The medieval Hastek Castle, which is found in the On region of eastern Turkey and can only be accessible by boat, was exposed to the surface of the Kaban Dam Lake on the Euphrates River a year ago as a result of the water level decreasing in the lake caused by the Kaban Dam. This occurred as a result of the Kaban Dam's obstruction of the Euphrates River, which caused the water level in the lake to plummet. The construction of the Kaban Dam was directly responsible for this event. The Bible claims that the Euphrates River drying up is a sign that significant events are about to occur, and may even be a sign of the rapture and the second coming of Jesus Christ. According to Revelation 16:12, the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. The Euphrates and Tigris are the two rivers that flow into the Persian Gulf at the end. It travels through contemporary Syria and Iraq. Two rivers have blessed Mesopotamia, which is regarded as the birthplace of some of the world's first civilizations, allowing agricultural settlements and large cities to flourish there for thousands of years. That's all for the video today. We will be right back with more. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.